Welcome to another jam-packed program. Program specialist Denzel here, or you can call me Coach D for today. We're going to go through our coaching/mentoring program. I know that bridging is coming up, so maybe some of you girls want to mentor some of the younger scouts and try to help them and become better at what they do. Coaching is very important because you have younger adults and you have to basically they're in your hands. You're responsible for them. You have to teach them a game or a sport, and while you're teaching them life lessons, and that's very important. So one thing that coaches were very rough and tough on me. I played football, so they kind of prepared me for the game. So one thing that I had to focus on was definitely making sure that I implemented the life lessons. They taught me to sprint through the line, always sprint through the line. So if you're at a finish line, you don't want to jog through, you want to sprint through. So you want to finish strong, basically, is the theme of that. And then short memory. Another thing too is like you got to let things go, and you can't let things deter you from moving forward. If something happens, you just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back after it. So that's some of the things that my coaches and the game of football have taught me. So what I'm going to do today is give you guys some practices and some approaches to help you mentor and coach team or some younger scouts. All right, tune in. So another life lessons that a coach has taught me was the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. It's a tongue twister, say it slow, we can pause it and we can walk through the video. But basically, like I said, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So that's just making sure you get ready, and then you analyze everything you need to analyze. You envision yourself being successful at the sport or whatever you're doing, and then you move forward. So if we properly prepare for the game on Saturday, by Saturday's time, we're going to play well because we already been practicing, we already been envisioning, trying to get better at the craft. All right, so that's another thing. 5 P's. Say it with me now. Preparation prevents poor performance. Challenge. Say that 5 times fast. Stay tuned. More stuff with Coach D. We're back. So with coaching, first thing you want to do is definitely read your room, read your team, read your audience. This kind of gives you kind of a early approach on how to even go about coaching or mentoring this individual team, or the individual or the team. For instance, Johnny, he's a sensitive kid. I'm reading reacting, so I'm like, okay, he seems like a kid that I would want to take the more positive. There are always going to be positive reinforcements approaches, but he may be something I need to maybe handhold a little bit, or give him a little bit of a coddle, while I'm talking to him. Maybe Timmy's more like rough around the edges, so he could handle me being rough with him. So that's another thing you got to do. And some guys, some kids are in between, so maybe there's time and situations for tough love and time to handhold, but you got to find that out. And I think that's, as a coach, that's very important, because you could have someone who you think can handle tough love, but just is not receptive to it. So you don't want to be yelling at them and bossing them around, and they're not gonna do what you want them to do, or they're not gonna learn from your approach. So that's definitely the first thing I would do, is try to find who and what and how to coach and teach each individual person and the team as a whole. And that's very delicate, like I was saying. Like I said before, it's very important. You have these kids, pretty much their future in your hands, so you got to be very delicate with them. Definitely always want to do positive reinforcement when you're giving your constructive criticism or any kind of feedback. You always want to have positive reinforcement, because you can be the deterrent for this kid. Thank God that Michael Jordan had the resolve to keep going, because he got cut from his high school basketball team, and he could have gave up basketball entirely. So that's another thing too. We have these kids in our hands. We have to make sure we don't crush them. So we have to keep them very delicate. All right. So make sure when you're definitely in your coaching and mentoring position of power, you want to make sure you take some of the different approaches, like I'm gonna hint to later on, but make sure it's always positive reinforcement. But like I was just saying, positive reinforcement. So basically what it is the build, break, build format. So it's like a constructive criticism sandwich. You're gonna give them criticism, but you're gonna sandwich it in compliments. So we're gonna build, hey, you did a good job. Criticism, but you could have did this. And then build back up. But good job on da 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 da. You know, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick example real quick, and then you know, so you guys can see and kind of use it and apply it to your coaching and mentoring. All right, Johnny, come here for a second. Take a knee. Listen, you did a great job getting to the basket. Excellent. You dribbled well, both hands. I love the way you did that. Next time when you get there, make sure you follow the shot. So when there's a rebound, you're right there. You know, you're right there for the rebound. But like I said, you did a good job. Good job getting to the basket. I like the effort. Keep it up, all right? And that's an example of the build, break, build. You see, Johnny didn't even have a chance to even get upset about the constructive criticism because we sandwiched it in with compliments. So that's basically how you do it. You know, you build, break, build. You tell them you did good. Here's what we need to work on, and then you give them another chance for improvement or another compliment. So that's just a good format of that, and I'm going to keep going with it with the mentoring. All right, stay tuned. All right, so we're back. So another very important detail to the coaching and mentoring is eye level and eye contact. Definitely want to make eye contact. That's just public speaking. You want to make sure, you know, you're in a position of power. The kids are coming to you and they believe what you say they're going to do, you know? So you want to have conviction. You want to speak clearly, and you want to actually have the eye contact so that they know that you're talking directly to them and you're not looking around and just like, you know, they're not gonna believe you if you're looking up, you know. So you want to make sure you make that eye contact, and then the eye level too. Eye level is very important because, for instance, when I had a football coach, everybody would be on a knee, right? So he's kneeing, everybody's kneeing, and he's talking to the team. That way he could see the whole team, and everybody's looking up at him. So that's the kind of position of power where so sometimes it's very important to sometimes get to the level of the kid so that they can kind of think that it's more of a personable thing and they won't take it, you know, as personal as their coach yelling at them or something like that. So these are different approaches that you can use. You want to make sure you switch it up from time to time because sometimes it's you know, the kids can respond to looking up at a coach, but sometimes they want to know that their coach is just like them, you know. So we'll give you an example of that, and then we'll continue with mentoring and coaching. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that Saturday's game day. I want to make sure that everybody's dressed, suited and booted, and ready to go. I want to make sure that you guys are handing in your status reports from school. I want to make sure you guys are doing well in school, and whoever is not doing well won't play. As simple as that. All right, so get out there. You had a good practice. Make sure you guys shower and then have a good rest to get some nice nutrients for tomorrow. And then Saturday and Friday, Saturday, let's prepare to get a W, all right? All right, break it down, let's go. Johnny, come here, Johnny. Listen, you're doing an excellent job, you know? I just want you to make sure that you understand the importance of this. You know, you're the team captain, I need you to lead the team. I need you to, they follow you, they look up to you. So I need you to make sure that you keep them accountable and that you are setting the precedent, the example, so that they can lead you, lead from your example. You know, I want them to make sure that, you know, we are all leaders here, but sometimes we need, you know, a sense of direction, you know, and that's where this team looks to you for. All right, so just keep getting it out there and keep, you know, inspiring your teammates. All right, get out there. Thing too is kind of creating the trickle down effect. Sometimes when you're a coach, you have some team captains, so that way you pick some team captains. That way they can set your example. You know, sometimes it's the kid won't listen to the coach, but they might get it and understand it better from a peer. So that's why you have the team captains in charge. So that's like, you know, you can say something, then it trickles down to the team captains, which then will trickle down to the rest of the team. There, the team captains in their own peer stage will be able to motivate, inspire, hold their teammate accountable. And that's another thing too, because that sometimes makes it easier for you, because you're not gonna play with them. You can't. You're an adult, or you're older than the kids. So it's very important to kind of have like an on the field coach to kind of make sure that they keep their spirits of the team high, and they're showing them different things and how they become better. And in a mentor standpoint, maybe you want to use, let's say you want to use a former mentee with your current mentee, so that way it can help you out. Like, I taught this person a couple years ago, now they're going to help teach you, so that way it helps in that setting as well. So make sure you implement who your team captains are, or use some former mentees to help you out, because it can save you a couple words, some energy, and it can help the kid, because it's a different approach. And instead of being from the coach, it could be from a team leader or a captain, or someone they kind of view close to the same age, or a peer. Into with the eye level is that like I said, it breaks it up where they're only looking up at the coach, and now you're looking to talking directly to them, instead of being, it's also a good thing of, instead of talking at the team, you're talking to the team. So that's why you want to break it up, when you want to be, eye level with them and eye level looking down at them. But I think also too, connecting with them on the same eye level is how you show, like, we're in this together, and that kind of enriches the team, the individual, and the collective identity. Collective identity, you're asking what it is? It's basically the surrendering of our individual or personal goal for the goal of a team. For football, I keep reverting back to that, but that's the only example I got. Football, we used to think about it as do your 1/11th. There's 11 people on the field. I can only do my 1/11th. I can't do 2/11s or 3/11s. I only do my 1/11th. I have to be able to trust my teammates that they're going to be in the right places and line up a certain way, and they're going to be there when they need to be there. And it's a life lesson, because it teaches kids functionalism. It teaches them how to be a cog in the machine, of society. They have, think about it like this: a car has pistons. Without the pistons, the car does not go. So that gives the kid a purpose, a mission, and it's a sense of direction, and it's something that also hold the kid accountable to. If Johnny's trying to be a superhero because he's the best person on the team and the team captain, I can't have that, because Johnny, you got to focus on your 1/11th. You can't do everybody else's job. As much as we think LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Michael Jordan, these guys are great talents, but they need a team. Unless you're playing an individual sport like swimming, golf, tennis, even then they still have some collective identities. You have to win your personal matchup in order for the team to win. So that's some things that's very important too, is making sure that the team adopts the collective identity. And how you would do that is bonding. Some icebreakers, of course, when you first start, just to get them, immersed in with one another. Eating together, team dinners, team breakfast. That was like one of the best things in the world. Maybe going on movie trips, or just fun stuff that builds that kind of team identity. Because then what happens is, once they believe in the collective identity, once they believe and trust their teammates, there's gonna be nothing they wouldn't do for their teammate or their coach. One thing for me, knowing that football's a very violent, strenuous sport, I had to trust my teammates, knowing that they're going to be there and almost protect me. So I have to look at my brothers, look for my brother's back. He has to look at his brother's back, and everybody's looking out for each other's back. And that is something that's going to implement into life, because I don't play football anymore, but I'm still friends with these guys, because it's a life lesson, and it strengthens the friendship, so that even when the sport is done and they hang up their cleats or whatever they're using, they're still friends to this day, because they've shared some intimate moments with each other. So team bonding, collective identity, very important. Some people think that, there's it's another thing too, to bring to my point, win versus team. Some people say there's no me in win, but there's an I. There's no me in team. Well, there's no I in team, but there's a me in team. So that's another thing too. You got to make sure that you suppress those individual goals, because then your team is not operating at 100% efficiency. If Tim is trying to go score 100 baskets, he may miss 2 guys wide open, and that's not how you want to play. You want to share the ball. Everybody's going to be, you could be the best player, but what's good is being the best player on a losing team, and it takes the whole team to win. So that's another thing. There's no I in team. There's no me in win. All right? Think about that when you're coaching and you're mentoring, trying to use that as a mantra for your team so that they relish and they understand the collective identity. Huge thing that we need to speak about is the ideology of a leader versus a boss. Kind of similar to our eye level thing we talked about earlier. A leader is going to speak to you on the same level with you. A boss is going to speak at you, lower to you, So that's very important. You want to make sure. Sometimes I think that, me personally, I think that you're going to get the greater response, and the team will be more willing to do whatever under a leader versus a boss. A leader is giving out orders from the front, so they're going through the experience with you, versus a boss doesn't know what's going on with the experience. They just tell you what to do from above. So all they care about is the numbers and production, but they don't know your name. They're not invested in your families. Whereas a leader knows you, knows how you work, knows what's best for you, is invested in you, has to sweat equity into the friendship and the rapport that you've gained, because they've done the team bonding, they've done the situations that happen in the field. They're there to correct that and help you through that. So that's why bosses, in a team aspect, they kind of lost in translation, because they don't know how to relate to unless it's a former leader. But even then, the boss has to be somewhat of a leader to get their hands dirty, because then the team won't trust you, because the team doesn't, like, for instance, let's say I'm a GM, a general manager for a baseball team. Now, I've never played baseball a day in my life, but I know about baseball. So for me, I don't really know how to really lead the team, because I don't have any prior experience. Whereas if I was a former player, then became a GM, I know how to talk to my players, because I was once a player. I could say, hey, you're not doing this, but what I used to do is, and I could tell them stuff from my past experience. So that's another thing with being a leader versus a boss. That's basically what it is. A leader, in my experience, will get more out of his team, and will go to the end of the earth to do whatever for this leader, because he or she is experiencing whatever it is together, versus a boss only knows you as a number, or and these are all, there's definitely outliers. You can have some bosses that almost are leaders, and they're very hands-on. Not addressing those people, but just the bosses that don't really know you, don't really care about what's going on. All they care about is production, and they don't care about how it gets there, at what sacrifice. They don't care. But a leader will be like, all right, you know what? I can at least tell them this, and this, and this from my experience, and I'm leading by example. So, like I said, you want to be a leader versus a boss. Make sure that your team is trusting you, and you build that rapport, and strive to be that leader. All right, so that's Coach D from Girl Scouts of Suffolk County Programs Department, and let's just rehash some of the things we went over today. Definitely, in terms of coaching and mentoring, you want to make sure you are consistent and You want to make sure you you read your audience, your team, so that way you know how to go about the approach, whether they need tough love or they need hand holding or in between. And sometimes, like I said before, it's situation. It varies versus situation. You want to make sure when you're talking to your team, you want to make sure you're talking to them, and then you break up the eye contact. So not contact, but the eye level. So you're talking above like this, and you're talking to them on their own level, so they can feel more personable and engaged. And then with your team, the collective identity, you want to have your team's goal. Maybe you meet with them and come up with a team goal, win a championship. Okay, so in order to win a championship, you got to do X, Y, and Z, and you hold them to that. So that way you don't have room for personal, individual goals, and that way if it doesn't align with X, Y, and Z, it's not a team goal. So that everybody buys in, and then you have that collective identity. To even more enrich that collective identity, you create a culture where you maybe you do some more team bonding, dinners, sleepovers, you watch film together, maybe you go to a professional game together, so that way you can kind of create a culture like, listen, this is a family. Yes, it's a team, it's a sports team, but it's a family, and I'm always gonna look after you regardless if you're on the team or whatever have you. I still have connections with my former coaches, and now that we're adults, it's great, but I still look at them as a mentor role because they've taught me so much throughout the years. So that relationship is probably still going to be intact after the sport is well over, because you're teaching them life lessons. Like I said before, coaching is very, 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 very delicate, because you have these kids in your hands, and it's like you don't want to crush them, but you also want to make them ready for the game and ready for the world, especially football coaches, because it's such a strenuous sport and it teaches so much life lessons that it's just like, you gotta be hands-on with it. But to speak to my I'm blanking here. To speak to my life lessons that I've learned: short memory. Something bad happens, let it go. Don't hold on to it. Let's move on to the next play. The 5 P's: proper preparation prevents poor performance. Get ready and stay ready, so you never have to get ready again. And always sprint through that line. Finish strong. In anything you do in life, finish strong. Don't and pull up right in front of the finish line. No, you sprint through the finish line. You think about it. With Usain Bolt's running, and he's got a clear lead, and he just starts taking it off, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna cross, and then somebody could just run right past him and snap the tape. No, sprint through the line. And that's another thing too, because some of these things, let's say for instance, some of these kids may not be the most athletic, but they may take something that you instilled in them while playing in a sport and apply it to their life and be a billionaire. So that's another thing too. It's just that make sure that you don't really you treat every kid the same, no favoritism. Even if you have team captains and and the best players on the team, you want to make sure you treat every kid with the same consistency. And that's it, man. This is Coach D. I love you guys. Appreciate all the support. And stay tuned. If you have any questions or for coaching and mentoring, please don't hesitate to shoot out a response to me. You can follow us at Girl Scouts Suffolk County on Facebook and on Instagram at Girl Scouts_SC. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace.